the story. You know, like it just, any other option that could have snuck in there ceased to exist.
So you talked about, renting a U-Haul at an illegal age, which again, kids do not do that. But you're following your dream across country to Atlanta. What happens when you end up in Atlanta and try to get into the power plant?
Well, so to rewind before that, I had actually already had my first match before I left. At 13, I found there was a local show that ran 3 blocks from my house every other Sunday at the Boys and Girls Club. And I caught wind of this, and I didn't really know a lot. The only, we're talking, this is 1995.
Oh yeah.
So, I didn't have the internet, I didn't have easy access, any other information I had outside of televised pro wrestling, which in my world was WWE and WCW. Everything else I knew was from the aftermags, right? So like,
right.
I knew of independent wrestling, but like, it was just, they were just superstars not on TV in my world, right? Like I didn't understand that they were Tom, Dick, and Harry. They was just pro wrestlers not on my TV screen for whatever reason. And so I was I found out about the show, and the show at bell time was 7:00. I showed up at the Boys and Girls Club at 10:30 a.m. and just hung out.
Wow.
And did this for a couple shows, and finally, somebody asked me, like, well, why are you here so early? I'm just like, I want to be a part of it. I've got, what can I do? How can I help? And they, well, you can help put up the ring. Oh my God. Yeah. Can I? And they were happy to have an extra set of hands, that they didn't have to pay. Like, Lord knows, money. Jesus Christ, no, I don't need money. I get to build a pro wrestling ring, right? So, I started, I did that every other week and started to get friendly with the guys. And finally, it got to, and in the meantime, I was doing whatever was asked of me. Hey, we need chairs set up. I was setting up chairs. Hey, we need hot dogs sold. I'm selling hot dogs. We need tickets. We need tickets to be taken. I'm taking tickets. Whatever I could to be a part of this business, right? So, finally, it got to the point where the deal got to be, hey, once the ring's put up, you're allowed to get in it. Oh my God, right? Like, that's what a dream. And so again, children, do as I say, not as I did. I never technically, I never went to pro wrestling school. I never, I never paid money and was taught, this is step A, this is step B, this is step C. A lot of the things I knew, I just knew, I guess, via osmosis. I watched wrestling my whole life, the people at my local video stores knew me because I was there to get Coliseum videos every weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I was never taught how to collar and elbow tie up. I just knew. I wasn't taught how to reverse a hammerlock. I just knew. I'd seen it 8 million. And so, we're talking probably 2 years of just, rinse, wash, repeat with no complaints from me.
Right.
This is awesome, every other Sunday I get to be in a pro wrestling ring. Like, whoa, what more could a boy ask for? And then finally, May 1st of 98, they were doing a battle royal, and the guy that ran it said, hey, we're short guys. What do you think about putting on a mask and being in the battle royal? And you would have thought I was Charlie getting the golden ticket.
Right.
That's the greatest thing I'd ever been asked in my life. Like, oh my God, yes. And so that was my first match. It was a battle royal May 1st, 98, which, we just celebrated the 25th anniversary of that.
Right.
Which is stupid in so many ways. Unreal in so many ways. But yeah, so, when I got to Georgia, I didn't know anybody. At the time, I had an aunt that lived here that I was staying with for a little bit, and she had web TV. I don't know if you remember web TV, but it was essentially dial-up internet on your television, and you had like a wireless keyboard, because the future was now. And, you know, and I was just learning about the internet, you know, 98, I'm learning about the internet just like everybody else. But, I found any local wrestling promoter that I could email, and I emailed them and, you know, hey, I've got 2 years experience, not even close, but they didn't need to know that. You know, I'm 18 years old. They didn't need to know that. You know, there's a couple fabrications, but,
of course, Paul Carney does this.
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, a show here would pick me up, a show there would pick me up, and then I caught wind that the place to be was NWA Wildside.
Oh, yeah.
NWA developmental deal. Buddy, that laser focus, I mean, I walked in, and I had my first Wildside match in the summer, late spring, early summer of 2000. You know, and it's just, the building that they ran the shows in was an old, like, a church from the 1800s. It was just a small little church.
That's awesome.
That was converted into a schoolhouse that was converted into a building for filming television wrestling, which is basically any natural building's progression.
Right.
Yes. But I'll never forget. I mean, it's this old rickety building that even when you're looking for it, you can't find it. You know, and again, this is pre-maps. You know, we didn't have Apple Maps and iPhones. we had Rand McNally and a compass.
Yeah. You had an actual map quest. You had to look up the city and I've definitely functioned my way through those as well.
Yeah, so, you know, I finally find this building and I walk up these rickety steps, and the first person I run into is, the Beast, Bob Sapp, who's sitting down and towering over me.
You know, like, how did he fit?
No, to this day, I still don't understand. There was some magical physics in that doorway. But yeah, that was, you know, that became, you know, and at this point, I'm the smartest man on the planet. I'm 17 years old. I've already graduated high school. I'm working for the WCW developmental company. Everything I planned on doing, I'm going to do. You know, Rey Mysterio, watch out. That cruiserweight title's mine.
Now, I read that you did start in Wildside, and it's crazy because, you know, obviously one of the biggest things that came out of there is AJ Styles, but they almost became a feeder system for TNA as well.
100%.
Yeah. So, and you appeared in TNA once.
I appeared in TNA a ton of times, but I just never got credited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff, especially those early explosions.
Right.
I was an extra at the very first pay-per-view in Huntsville. You know, just security guard number 12, 13, whatever number you want to choose. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, I was with TNA basically from the first day, because of, and that's all Bill Behrens. You know, Bill is the one that ran Wildside. And he's the one that really taught me the art of pro wrestling versus the storytelling aspect of pro wrestling versus just the physicality. You know, the why we're doing these things and not just what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But he, you know, he was the one that that got the WCW developmental deal. So when WCW got bought out and all those guys that didn't get picked up were looking for places to work and all that stuff, Bill was the guy that they relied on and Jeff Jarrett relied on Bill a lot, and because of that connection, I was fortunate enough to do a lot of stuff with TNA through Bill and through Wildside, which was just, they actually just shut that building down a couple weeks ago. They finally shut the doors on this building that had been running wrestling since, I think it started in 98. 98, 97, whatever. I mean, this building barely had plumbing. I can't believe this building. But if you look at the lineage and the names of guys that stepped in this rickety old, former school, former church, it's mind-boggling. Obviously, AJ's the guy, because that's where AJ started training. So, he's the face of what Wildside was. But even underneath that, Abyss got his break through Wildside.
Right.
There were guys like Shane Helms, Shannon Moore, the Hardys, Jimmy Yang, Jamie Noble. It goes on and on. Elix Skipper. The night before the Super Brawl pay-per-view, Super Brawl 2001, the last Super Brawl, I was there. I was on this card. It was Mark Jindrak, and it was a wacky mismatch team because they'd split Jindrak and O'Hare at this point. So it was like Jindrak and Palumbo, maybe, against O'Hare and Stasiak.
Right.
They did that match on Saturday for Wildside. Then they hopped on the plane and did the same match on pay-per-view at Super Brawl the next night. Right? It's nuts. That's where, I didn't train him how to bump, but Xavier Woods is one of my guys. He was wrestling. He had learned the basics, before I had met him, but he's one of those guys that the first time I met him, this is a humorous story. So I had heard kind of rumblings around the area, hey, there's this young kid, super athletic, got a great look, super charismatic. I think you'd love him. I was like, okay, well, let's get him to the building and see what we can do with him. And so it just so happens, the first time I meet him, I'm wrestling him. We're number 1 and number 2 in a battle royal, right? And so I don't know anything about this kid other than what people have told me. So I go, hey man, these people they've seen me a million times. They know what I do. Tonight's about establishing you. So what do you do? And he goes, I don't know, man. I kind of do a boxer gimmick. And I was like, that's lame. What? Why did everybody think I'd like this guy? This guy's miserable. And so we kind of figured out what we're going to do, but he was very quiet, very, he hit me with one of my biggest pet peeves in pro wrestling, where when I ask somebody what they want to do, I'm like, oh, I can do anything. Okay, do a double shooting front press. Powerbomb 23 people at one time. Well, you can't do anything then. You can't do everything. What do you like to do? And it was kind of that where I was just like, it felt like I was pulling teeth to get this thing put together. So we get to the Battle Royal, my music hits, I come out, I'm, being Sal and doing Sal stuff, and then they announce entrance number 2. And as if I fell asleep and woke up in the middle of Rocky 3, in full boogie, living color, out walks Apollo Creed. Living in America, he's got the red and white blue boxing gloves, he's got the red and white blue shorts, he's got the hat, and I'm literally standing in the ring in just pure shock, yelling at him, my name is Sal Rinauro. It gets no more Italian. It's literally impossible to be more Italian than Salvatore Rinauro. Why didn't you just tell me you were Apollo Creed? That's the one thing my people grasp. And, we got to the back. I was like, bro, what just happened? He was like, I was just nervous, being in the ring with you. I was like, you're Apollo freaking Creed. And so that, but that's where our bond formed. And to this day, he's family, you know, he's not just